Okay, part two of my live. Pull my hair out, and that is why this technology drives me crazy. Because if you were watching my other video earlier, I just all of a sudden, boop, the camera decided I just don't want to work right now, and it went blank. So I had to reconnect. I had to do. I thought I was gonna have to run out to Staples tomorrow and get a new camera. And I'm thinking, what am I gonna do? I don't want to have to spend any money. I'm trying to get everything out of debt. I'm trying to pay everything off. I don't want to have to buy a camera. And God heard me, and my camera got fixed. So before I got cut off, I was talking about Chat GPT and how it embracing this technology, and how sometimes the technology is so vast and comes so quickly that it's a great thing, but it makes me feel like something's wrong with me. Like something's wrong with me that I can't keep up with this. I don't understand what's happening to me. I just can't understand, and then I feel stupid, and then I feel like I there's something wrong with me, and I'm not good enough, and how annoying, blah, 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 and I get in my own head, and we got to get out of our head. So that was my point of what I was talking about before I got so rudely interrupted with technology difficulties. Um, but what I wanted to say was I wanted to, after we talk about Chat GPT, I was going through, I'm on Facebook all the time because I monitor the group, and um, I'm on Facebook, and I get a lot of kitchen things and these advertisements, and they look good, and the customer is going to see this stuff, but and I always check it out because I want to know if it's AI at all. Is it fake? Is it real? Because some of them look so real. And besides that, there was certain details in this kitchen that I wanted to point out, because they were some things about the design element and a couple of things that were missing, in my opinion, and from my 30 odd years experience of professional eye looking at someone else's design. And I'm not putting down the design, because it's a really nice design and the colors are pretty, everything is really pretty, but just certain things that I question about the design. And so it's more of a detail. These are little details. I'm picking out all little details as opposed to the whole overall design. And I'm not smashing this designer. I'm not saying anything about the cabinetry. It's just to point out a couple of technical things. And the way to really show you, to talk about it, is to show you a picture. So Chrome tab, window, this one, share. Okay, so I want to make sure. All right, so you're seeing the whole, what's going on over here? I want to see what I'm seeing. Oh, you see a little me and a big one of that. Okay, so can you see if I draw my, yes. Okay, so what I'm going to say about this, I circled some things so I remember what I'm saying. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, because I'm going to talk about what I feel. What I feel in all the designs nowadays is we don't have enough upper cabinets, and I feel that this is a lot of space up in the inside, empty use of space. Right? I could have had a 3 inches bigger here and 3 inches bigger there. I think everybody doesn't want these upper cabinets, and they really are beneficial to have. I mean, your dishes, your glasses. I don't like to bend in the kitchen. I like everything at eye level. And if I'm missing out on this area of storage, like that upsets me. As a storage professional, losing out by having empty wall of even just this little bit of cabinetry uh, would bother me. So I mean, here they just have decoration in it. Mine would be full of plates, and it wouldn't have glass on it. I'd be using every place you have a spot for something. I'm sure you'll find a spot to put if there's an open shelf, you'll find something to put on it. The other thing I don't like is having all of these things hanging like this behind the cooktop. I feel that this is just going to get full of dirt and grease and dust, all these little tchotchke things hanging here like this. I'd rather it, to me personally, I don't like that hanging there. Pots and pans and measuring spoons and things like that. I think too close to the oven going to get dirty. The other thing I wanted to point out is this molding here. See this detail? Oh, what's happening here? There we go. So what's happening here in this corner is this is a semi-custom cabinet line. And I can tell that this is two cabinets put together. This is an inset cabinet, okay, right? So these are inset doors. Actually, it's not a real inset. What's happening up at the top, it's all covered with molding. Usually I would see the top frame. I guess they covered the top frame of the cabinetry with molding because there would be rails, stiles and rails, and then the doors. So anyway, I digress. This portion here shows that there's two cabinets that are put together. And what they did, they could have had a skin, they could even be a skin, but where the two cabinets come together, they put this molding here to cover the seam in the front. But I don't know why they put a thin molding, or it just appears thin, or what's happening on the side here. But this is a semi-custom line, and they had to stack these two cabinets. So this, using the molding to separate the two cabinets, see, it's this, I guess it's this tall cabinet here because it's done the same thing over here. And I don't know why they didn't take this cabinet molding, this astragal, because this is called an astragal, a batten, whatever, and miter it and return it on the side. It doesn't look like they did that in this picture. Okay, so that's this little detail here that I'm picking up on, that I go, things that make you go, Even like I said, the crown molding, see how you have a bottom rail and side rail? You should have a top rail. So I guess they covered the top rail with the crown molding. I don't know why. You certainly had room to go up on top with the crown molding. So that's another thing. Why'd they do that? And here's your little light rail lip right here, little tiny light rail. Because right away I want to know if it's AI or not, right? Then the next thing I say is, what's up with this down here? Well, I don't like these open shelves. Why are placemats underneath there? What do you have here? This is like just open. It's going to get covered in dust. Yeah, it's good to look at, but what are you really putting here, right? Think about that. And it's a dust collector. And underneath this sitting area here, okay, this sitting area, why is it all open shelves underneath that? And it has pots. You have pots on there. And another thing for storage. Who on earth would you really get down there and move everything and grab that basket? Maybe once a year. I think it should be covered panels. And who would put pots underneath there? So that's what makes me say, is this AI? Like, why would I have a pot there? And if it's open underneath, but I'm sure it's not AI because it's attributed to a designer. So it's underneath here. Where's my bottom support? This would be, if this is the cabinets, here's my sink. This is open on this side, where the way that the sink is, this is appearing to be about a 42 inches deep, right? 42 to 48 inches deep. right? This might not be 24 inches deep. It could be 15 inches deep or 18 inches deep, something like that. So 24 plus the 18. Where's my calculator? I'm fried right now. 24 plus 18, 24 plus 18 is 42. So 42 inches deep. So a panel that's 42 inches wide, and they have, is there another chair here? There's another chair. So I don't know, is there a chair there? Trying to figure out how it went around this here. So let's say there's 2 feet. It's 48 inches by 42 inches. Okay, if it's 48 inches by 42 inches, doesn't it need like a little bit of a support? I would think it would only want to be 30 inches, 36 inches, because anything you put on here is going to bow. I mean, there should be a center support on the bottom or something, which is hard to see in this drawing. So I don't like this design with this shelf underneath this eating area. I mean, it looks really good. When you look at this kitchen, you go, oh, I love the color. I love the color. I love the palette. I love it. But I didn't really care for that. And also with the seaming of these 2 countertops, you got to be really careful that it's exactly the same thickness, or maybe even a little bit thicker, one thinner, because of how the 2 pieces seam together. You got to make sure that that's a good seam. And also, I didn't like the way it was lined up with this side piece. And that was my other thing. Like, what is this piece of molding? Outside, is it outside corner molding? It's kind of a wide style. It's a detail here that I want to say, like, why did they make that detail there? And why is that seam, which I happen to draw my arrow on top of the seam? Don't ask me why, and can't unchange it now. But the seam is right here in the middle of this style here, right? This flat pilaster area. This seam, in my opinion, should have been over here in line. My lines need to line up. You see that would bother me. That bothers me because, or it has to be dead center, or maybe it is dead center and it just looks like it's not on dead center because of the angle of the camera. So I just was wondering why. Maybe it's to balance out that, because this was built as one cabinet, because there's no seam between these 2 cabinets, right? There's no seam. So this is one cabinet built combined, an open shelf unit combined with a base full height door of something, whatever the width of this is. I can't see it on the other side of the kitchen. So I just wanted to point those little things out. And the other thing I want to point out is the lighting, okay? Like, I have the lighting here. Let's, can I screen in and pull it here? Okay, let's look at the lighting. So again, maybe it's the center line of the camera and wide angle, whatever. I have the pendants are here on this part of the island where they're going to be sitting. I don't see any lighting. I don't see, there's a light here. So that's the end of the light. Where's the rest of my lighting over my sink area? I feel like, is there lighting? And if there is, they should be closer together, because, and there's no lighting over here. This is at least 2 feet. If this this range is 48 inches, right? It's got a burner, a center burner. It looks like it's like 48, 60 inches. So in all this space, I have one little hi-hat here and one little hi-hat here. Where's the rest of my lighting? And here's my crown mold going all around, but there's not enough hi-hats in this room. Now, there's a hi-hat here, but what happened? There's too much space between this recessed lighting and this recessed lighting. Recessed lights should be 3 feet. If the ceiling is really high, they should be around 30 to 36 inches on center. Or if it's a lower, it's 42 to 48 inches on center. okay? Because there's no lighting right in this whole area, just these two which are lighting over the table. So the lighting in this is something that I'm looking at. Now, yeah, it's Burbeck Interior. And it was from Home and Garden. So, you know, it's a really pretty space. I just had questions about the design. Again, like I said, I'm nitpicking. I was nitpicking about that. Um, but I just wanted to point things out about why I wouldn't do something, and think about cleaning, think about bending, think about the lighting, having enough light in the space when the windows are shut at night. A lot of times people don't like all that lighting, so just provide the light fixtures in where they technically should be and put everything on dimmers. You think of a lot of activity in the kitchen. You need proper lighting for preparing food. And, I don't like a bright space, so I can relate to people that don't want really bright lighting, but it's the cone of lighting. Providing ambient lighting in a space is a matter of lighting the entire area. Ambient lighting is not just one spot. And that's accent lighting or focal lighting, but accent ambient lighting is to light up the whole space. And certain rooms require a certain amount of lumens to light up the whole entire space. So I could tell from that picture, because the oven was big, that when you look at it to scale, I'm sure it's a really big room. So it needs a lot of lighting there. Just more than you don't place recessed lights at 8 feet apart, because your cone of light is going to be over there, and then you're going to have a dead spot, and then going to have a cone of light over there. So what's in the middle isn't going to be lit. Okay, so that's why. So I didn't mean anything about the design. It was just nitpicking, and also to show you that you can use standard cabinets and stack them by using astragal moldings to cover seams and skins and things like that. Just because the vendor doesn't make your cabinets to be 120 inches can't doesn't mean you can't stack cabinets. And stacking them, you would be making seams, and with that inset cabinet, at least you're able to cover the seam where the two cabinets meet. So that's why you need to really know about the construction of the cabinets, because maybe you can seam. A lot of times what we used to do with a semi-custom line would be stack two cabinets and then put a skin on the side of it. If it was a framed cabinet and it has that little eighth of an inch reveal on the face frame, you could put a skin to hide the seam where you stacked your two cabinets. So where that they two meet, and then you just skin it. And then on the front, you just, when the doors are closed, you won't really notice the seam as much. When the door is open, and then if you look, you'll say, oh, I see a seam. But because I know what I'm looking at, and I can say, oh, let me see, oh, seam, right? So, but things to keep an eye out, and also knowing how to manipulate the semi-custom cabinetry to give it a more custom look. So that is possible. So, and so those were my two things today for my live. And again, got to embrace this technology, got to, just move on and keep working towards our goals. And as we start off 2025, which I can't believe it's 2025, I remember when it was 2000, the year 2000, and it was turning to the year 2000. And that was 25 years ago. And I was like, wow, that was 25 years ago. I remember where I was. It was my cousin had a wedding, and we were upstate, and my sister was working for the New York Stock Exchange, and she was in management or whatever. And she and her husband, who was vice president, could not leave the city. They had to be on call and ready in case the world came to an end after the clocks, all our electronics went from 1999 into 2000. They didn't know what was going to happen, what was going to be the result. And you know what the result was? It just kept on ticking. So they were home and they had to be there on call for that, and nothing happened. Just a reminder, I am having on Wednesday, the Kitchen and Bath Design Academy, the final documents and drawings that you need to present to your customer when you're selling a project. Now, you've all gotten your retainer and you've worked really hard on your project. You've made selections, you've made revisions, you just picked out doors, you've picked out molding, accessories, faucets, whatever you're working on, you've chosen it. Now you're going to get ready to order it. And maybe your order process is I need to get 50% or I get the payment in full because it's all special order. You need to have paperwork. Okay. So, like you have to have paperwork at the beginning of your project saying your retainer and your processes and what they're going to get for their money and the deliveries and make all kinds of promises. You have to now have more paperwork now that you're selling the project and actually getting your money and getting paid, and now going to start procuring product and go on to the next and the last phase of the contract. So my course is an hour and a half, but it could be a little over an hour, plus a question and answer. So they're about an hour and a half, whatnot. And so, like I said, the final documents. And I'm not talking about a program. I'm not saying this, you need to use SketchUp or you need to use this program. It's not that. However you want to produce the documents, you can produce them on whatever publisher, Canva, whatever you want. What I'm teaching you is what you need to include, okay? You need to have sign-offs, you need to have this, you need to have that. So if you don't know how to do it, or you have questions on what you're supposed to do, how to do it, what do I include, this is the course for you, okay? Because I'm going to talk about it. I learned this from a large corporation that I worked for, and they set up these standards, and I've used it for my career, and I think it's a great foundation for learning how to sell a kitchen and bath project. Okay, so we've designed it, we learned about all the materials, now we're actually going to sell it. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much. Sorry for the mix-up there. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Peace out. Ciao for now.